All right, picture this. Your company's going all in on this fantastic new project, right? Everyone's pumped. It's all powered by the cloud. The future is bright. Then, bam, that first bill lands on someone's desk. Suddenly, not so celebratory.
Oh, I've seen it happen. More times than I can count, honestly. That cloud bill can be a real party pooper if you're not set up right.
No kidding. And that takes us right to our deep dive today. We're getting into a role that's becoming mission critical for so many companies these days, the FinOps practitioner. They're like the ones who make sure the cloud party doesn't turn into a financial hangover.
It's true. And this FinOps Foundation source we're looking at, they really nail
Oh,
it. It's not even just about saving money, though. Hey, that's always nice. It's about connecting the dots between how you're using the cloud and what your business is actually trying to achieve.
right. So less about pinching pennies, more about making sure every dollar you're putting into the cloud is actually rowing the boat in the right direction. Strategic cloud spending. That's what we're talking about here.
And that's where our FinOps practitioner struts in. They're the bridge, the interpreter, the go-between, whatever you want to call it, between the tech geniuses building all this cool stuff in the cloud and the finance team who are, kind of in charge of making sure the money doesn't vanish.
Because, let's be real, trying to get those two groups on the same page, it's like herding cats while teaching a dog to whistle at the same time.
That analogy. Spot on. This source even calls them translators, which I have to say I kind of love.
No.
They take all that technical mumbo-jumbo and turn it into plain English financial talk so everyone gets it. What's the impact of all this? Why are these numbers moving this way? Clarity.
So they're the ones who can have a conversation with both the cloud architect building the digital Taj Mahal, Andy, the CFO, who's wondering if maybe a nice lean-to would have been sufficient for their needs.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And they help everyone understand that building in the cloud is fantastic, but just like any construction project, you got to have a budget, you got to have a plan. Otherwise, you end up with a 7-car garage and no house to attach it to. And the thing that makes it even trickier in the cloud is, well, the speed of everything.
It's like going grocery shopping, but the prices change every 30 seconds while you're walking down the aisles. How stressful would that be?
And that is why one of the most important things a FinOps practitioner does, at least according to our source here, is creating these, cost management whatchamacallits best practices. It's bigger than just setting a budget and calling it a day. It's about getting the whole company to care about being cost conscious.
So let's swipe the company card with reckless abandon more. Hey, before we buy 10 of those, do we even need one?
You got it.
Yeah.
But that change in how everyone thinks about things, that can be a tough one because you're trying to shift habits, behaviors, even how people see their role in the whole thing.
People love the cloud, it's fast, it's convenient. Then suddenly someone comes along saying, think twice before you hit launch on that server farm. That's a tough sell.
It is. It really is. And that is exactly why a good FinOps practitioner is so valuable. They're not just crunching numbers in a dark room somewhere. They're out there talking to people, building relationships between teams, becoming the biggest cheerleader for saving money. Change agents, that's what they are.
Okay, I love that. They're like that friend who convinces you to get the side salad instead of the extra large fries. Looking out for your financial well-being, even when it's not the most exciting choice in the moment.
That's a perfect way to put it. They help everyone see that spending less isn't about holding back on cool ideas. It's about making sure those ideas can survive for the long haul.
Which benefits everyone in the end, right? Because no one wins when a project gets shelved because the cloud costs spiraled out of control.
Exactly. And that's why this whole FinOps thing is only becoming more important as time goes on. These folks, they're the key to helping companies use the cloud to its full potential, but without, ending up bankrupt.
All right, so we get it. FinOps practitioners, they're like the financial superheroes keeping the cloud under control. But let's get specific. What are their superpowers? What are they looking at to measure if they're actually doing a good job?
Oh, they've got their tricks, their tools, their secret weapons. The source we've got for this deep dive, it lays out some key metrics they use, and one that really stood out to me is unit cost economics. Sounds kind of jargony, but stick with me here. It's actually pretty intuitive once you get it.
So less about the big, scary overall cloud bill, more about like the cost of each thing you're doing in the cloud.
Exactly. Imagine you're running a bakery. Right. You wouldn't just look at the total cost of flour and sugar at the end of the month. You'd want to know, okay, what's it cost me to make one cookie, one cake? Got to make sure you're pricing things right to actually make money, right? Unit cost economics in the cloud world, same idea.
Oh, that's a great way to think about it. So instead of, oh no, our cloud bill is $1 million, the FinOps practitioner can be like, It costs us $7 to process 10,000 customer transactions. And then, what, they try to get that number down?
You're catching on. They figure out, okay, this process over here, that's the expensive one. Then they huddle with the tech team and see if they can make it more efficient. Even a tiny tweak, maybe how they're storing data, something like that, can shave off a few pennies per transaction. Sounds small, but you do that a million times. That's real money.
It's like those sneaky fees your cable company hides in the fine print. But instead of arguing with someone on the phone for an hour, you've got your FinOps practitioner on the case, making things right.
And that takes us to another big one our source talks about, discount and reservation coverage. Sounds boring as heck, I know, but trust me, it's all about being a smart shopper just in the cloud marketplace.
Okay, now you're talking my language. Everyone loves a good discount.
So think about booking a flight. Book way in advance. Cheaper, usually. The cloud works kind of the same way. If you know what you're going to need and you're willing to commit a little, cloud providers, they'll give you a better deal.
I see. So the FinOps practitioner, they're the ones saying, hold up, team. Let's map out our cloud use for the next year and lock in those sweet, sweet discounts.
Boom. You got it. They're thinking ahead, they're planning, they're making sure nobody's paying those last-minute flight prices for cloud services when they could gotten a deal if they just planned it out.
That makes so much sense. And I bet that involves everyone working together, which is something we were talking about before, right? Finance has to be cool with upfront commitments. The tech team needs to know what they're going to need. It's all connected.
100%. It really highlights how FinOps isn't just some techie thing or some finance thing. It's a whole company thing. And speaking of things being connected, or not? How about those untagged resources our source mentioned? That sounds ominous.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that, and it didn't sound good. What's the deal with those?
Okay, imagine a library, thousands of books, great. But no system for organizing them, no card catalog, no nothing. Just piles everywhere. You know there's good stuff in there, but finding it, good luck. Untagged resources in the cloud, same problem.
Oh, I'm getting a bad feeling about this. So you have no idea who's using what, how much it costs, if you even need it anymore.
Bingo. It's like having a leaky faucet, except instead of water, it's your budget slowly dripping away. You might not even notice it until you get that massive bill.
So the FinOps practitioner, they're the plumber in this scenario, sniffing out those leaks, fixing them before they become a huge problem.
You got it. And once they've found all these areas where things can be improved, they've got to prove their worth right. It's easy to say, look, I'm making things better, but you got to show it.
Right. You need proof. Hard numbers. Data.
Exactly. That's where all these metrics we've been talking about come in. They track those unit costs, the discount coverage, those pesky untagged resources, and boom, they can show exactly how things are improving. It's not just about saving money. It's about proving that they're helping the company use the cloud in a smarter, more strategic way.
Like a financial report, but instead of just profit and loss, you're seeing the cost of baking each digital cookie. Makes sense.
And you know what? That is exactly what makes this role so valuable. They're bringing that same rigor, that same financial smarts to the wild world of the cloud, making sure every dollar counts, and, most importantly, that it's connected to the goals of the business, not just floating around up there in the cloud somewhere.
It really hits you, you know? We've been talking about these metrics, the unit costs, the discounts, even those untagged things lurking in the digital shadows. It's like suddenly you can see clearly what's going on with cloud spending. Before it was all just kind of a blur, you know?
Oh, absolutely. It's like someone took those blurry security camera photos and bam, enhance them so you can see every detail, and when you can measure it, you can manage it. That's where those tangible improvements to your bottom line really start to happen, not just, oh, we hope it's better now.
And I bet that is the sweetest sound in the world to, like, any CFO who's ever had to deal with these cloud bills. But it wasn't just the financial stuff that our source highlighted as a win, right?
Right. One of the big ones that always gets talked about is getting your cloud costs all managed from one place.
Yeah.
Sounds simple, obvious even, but you would not believe how many companies, they've got different departments, different teams, all doing their own thing in the cloud. It's like a jungle of spending out there.
Oh, I can only imagine the spreadsheets, the tangled messes. It makes my head spin just thinking about it.
It's a nightmare. And then they call in the FinOps practitioner, right? They're the ones who come in and say, all right, time to tidy up. They set up processes, make sure everyone's tagging things the same way. Suddenly you've got a map, a compass, and a flashlight to navigate that jungle.
No more of those shadow IT projects where someone's just swiping their corporate card willy-nilly, hoping nobody notices that extra few $1,000s on the bill.
In a perfect world, no. With everything centralized, It's all out in the open. Transparency, accountability, those are the secret ingredients here. And you know what that leads to? More confidence in your budgets, your forecasts. You can actually plan for the future without crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
Because if you don't even know what you're spending NOW, how can you even begin to guess what it's going to look like next quarter, next year? Impossible.
Exactly. It'd be like trying to win a race car driving with your eyes closed. But with a solid FinOps game plan, companies can be way more accurate with their forecasting. They can say, okay, we can afford to launch this new project. Or, hold on, team, let's rethink this. The cloud costs are going to eat us alive. It's about agility, being able to adapt to whatever's coming your way.
And in the business world, that kind of agility, that ability to move fast and adjust course when you need to, well, that's not just a nice to have, it's survival, right?
It's everything. And that brings me to something that really clicked for me when I was going through this material for our deep dive today. FinOps, it's not just about not spending. It's about using those costs to actually grow dough.
Whoa, hold on, back up a second. Are you saying that by being smart with your cloud spending, you can actually make more money? How does that work?
It's like this. When you really understand where your cloud dollars are going, what they're doing for you, you can make much better choices about where to put your resources.
So instead of seeing the cloud bill as this big, scary monster, FinOps helps you tame that monster, make it work for you, not against you.
Exactly. It's about aligning your spending with your strategy. Maybe you find out that spending a little more on a particular service will unlock a ton of efficiency, or maybe even open up a whole new way to make money. FinOps gives you the insights to make those judgment calls, to see those opportunities you might have missed before.
So it's not about being cheap, it's about being strategic. Spending money to make money, as they say, but in a way more intentional, data-driven way. It's mind-blowing.
It's a game changer. And here's the thing. If anyone out there listening is thinking, okay, but this is all for those big companies with their fancy tech teams and endless budgets, think again. FinOps can work for anyone at any scale.
You're saying you don't need an army of data scientists to make this work?
Nope. Even a small business, even a one-person shop can take these ideas and run with them. It's about changing how you think, how your teams communicate, and always being on the lookout for ways to get the most out of your cloud spending, no matter how much or how little you've got.
I gotta say, this whole conversation has been a real eye-opener. We went from deciphering those cryptic cloud bills to, like, unlocking the strategic potential of the cloud itself. Amazing stuff.
It really shows you, doesn't it, how the financial side of things and the tech side of things, they're not separate anymore. They're all part of the same puzzle. And those FinOps practitioners, they're the ones putting that puzzle together.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So for our listeners out there who've been with us on this journey, what's the big takeaway we want them to carry with them? Simple. FinOps isn't about holding you back from the amazing things you can do in the cloud. It's about giving you the power to do even more with what you've got. Make the cloud work for you, not the other way around.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of FinOps. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep learning.